All right, so another 8K in the books. That's 16 total so far, and made it through chapter 2 of our books. Let's start there. Man, I really thought when I had this idea that when I was running there would be one thing that kind of stands out, and I'd come back and give my thoughts on that and then talk some about running. This chapter, there's at least a half a dozen things that we could take and just dive really deeply into if we chose to do so. From not letting the opinions of others determine your outlook on yourself, from the accountability mirror, which is the challenge, from finding a role model and a mentor for whatever it is you're trying to achieve, and then just a lot about responsibility and personal responsibility. But there was just so many things, and so I'm running along. I'm like, man, I should have brought a waterproof notepad of some sort. Just so I could keep up with everything. So I think I'll focus on a couple of things. As you get into this chapter, it's like, man, how many horrible things can this guy have experienced as a young child and then as a young adult, and it's just one horrible thing after the next, from murder to accidental deaths to just terrible racism that he had to face. And in today's world, that last one, I'll let him tell his story and his thoughts on that. But man, it's just so hard to believe that there's that much hate in the world. And if we don't all at some point just learn to quit talking about and at each other and start talking to each other, I don't know how it's going to get any better. This is an us and us thing. We've just got to do better. But I'll let him talk about that part. The challenge from this chapter is to use your accountability mirror. So we started with chapter 1 with getting a journal and kind of going through the experiences that have brought you and made you who you are today. Because whatever our results are today, whoever we are today, it's completely because of the thoughts that we're thinking and all of the thoughts that have been poured into us and that we have thought for ourselves up until now. And so it's really difficult to change it. I said in the last video that we are, before age 7, we're hardwired with how we're going to react as adults, and so this is a difficult proposition. So that first step of being very honest and journaling some of these things out to help you become more aware of why you think some of the things you do and why you react some of the way you react, that's an important step. But this next step and this next challenge is also really important. Now, he talked about, he got to what my friends at Empowered Living would call a never again moment. Never again am I going to be like this. Never again am I going to allow myself to be like this. And he started the accountability mirror, where he would put post-it notes all over the mirror to remind him of the things he wanted to do. And one thing you may notice, he started not necessarily, when the first ones that he talks about are not, I'm going to get better grades, and some of the things that you think would be really life-changing. He started with, I'm not going to allow any dirty dishes, I'm going to clean my room, I'm going to dress better. He started with some things that look totally unrelated, but what we'll find and what you'll find is once you start to become more disciplined and more accountable in other areas of your life, then you'll start to become more disciplined and more accountable in all areas of your life. How you do anything is how you do everything. And so the compounding effect of that is just really important. So the idea of an accountability mirror, whether you want to use your mirror or some other place to display this where it's always in front of you, I'll leave that up to you, but it is just very important that you do keep this in front of you and that you hold yourself accountable. Now, I don't know if you have found yourself to be like me, but I'm not always the best at holding myself accountable. So having someone who's already living at a level a little bit higher than yourself, who can be honest with you, who can speak truth into your life, and who can really kind of help you raise that level of your own awareness so that you're thinking on a higher level, man, that's so important as well. But just keep these in. And when he talks about writing these things down, and he even covers a learning model of how he learned to learn, determining what your learning model will go a long way. But the act of writing these things down is so important. Pretty soon on our site here for Summit Mentorship, we're gonna release a guided study of Think and Grow Rich. The second chapter of Think and Grow Rich is the chapter on desire, and it's talking about a 6-step plan for how we can achieve our desires in life. And the very first step is to be very specific with what you want, and then it's write it down. Write it down. And the physical act of writing is very important because you've got this idea of what you want to be, who you want to become, and it's an idea right now. The physical act of writing it down, pen to paper, that is the first physical manifestation of that spiritual idea that you're bringing it into its own life. So very important that you write it down. And when you engage all the senses through writing, and in your journal too, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, that's a good idea, but I'm just going to go to my iPad or whatever and type it in. It is not the same effect. I'm going to encourage you, just write. Go old school with this. Write it down, because there's just something magical when you put pen to paper and you engage more of your senses into the process. It will stick better. So the step 2 is to have an accountability mirror, is what he called it, because he put those post-it notes. Again, just make sure you're writing down your goals, what you're, and this can be what you want to become. I would say focus on what you want to become. Your energy goes, your focus and energy are going to go together, right? And what our dominating thoughts are, that's what we're going to end up achieving. So if you're focused too much on the negative side, you're actually causing a lot of the negative to come in. So I'm going to recommend that you keep this on the positive side. Paint a picture of who you want to become, what you want to achieve. Be very, very specific, because as you're putting this into your subconscious daily, the subconscious doesn't know right from wrong, big from small, good from anything. All it knows is exactly what you tell it. So it has to be very specific, but be very specific. Write it down, look at it, repeat it every day, and by all means find someone who is living on that higher level that can speak the truth into your life. So chapter 2 has an awful lot of stuff. That was just the main things that came to my mind as I was going down the road. Now let's talk about the run. So I'm 16K in, still feeling pretty good. I'm down a few pounds, which is something I got to monitor. I'm in the nice shade right now, but I'm running through the neighborhood, and out in the neighborhood it's very sunny, very hot, very humid. And so that's something I got to monitor. Going to keep pouring some fluids in. But I'm again, this is a distance thing for me, not a time thing. So I'm pausing to talk to neighbors and play with puppies and some other things along the way while I'm listening to the book and thinking of what I'm going to tell you. But so far, so good. I'm going to, again, change shirts, change socks, try to stay as comfortable as possible on this next leg. I didn't mention this part. I am tracking everything with a Garmin watch. I'm using the Garmin Venue. It's one of the newer models, kind of an extension of the Vivo Active line, but it's got the nice new AMOLED screen, so it looks really good. Gives a lot of good data. So that's what I'm using to track the run. And what we'll do is again, it's a run walk. So sometimes I feel guilty calling this a run, but I'm doing my best to hit the distance. But we'll post some Garmin stats so that you can see how long it's actually going to take me to do this. But again, the goal is 51K for the 51 birthday, and I'm well on my way. About 35 more K or so to go, and we'll be home. So almost there, and a few more videos to go too. So I'm gonna grab something to eat, something to drink, change my shirt, and hit the road again. And I'll talk to you again real soon.